In 2013, Korean-Australian singer Dami IM appeared on the fifth season of X Factor Australia, where she wowed the judges, the audience, and those watching on TV with her performance of Mariah Carey's Hero during the auditions. She went on to continue delivering show-stopping performances and eventually won the season outright, kicking off her music career. And she joins us now via video for this week's Touch Base in Seoul, just as she is set to release a new album later this month called My Reality. Ms. Im, thank you for being on the show with us today.
Thanks for having me.
It's an absolute pleasure to have you on the show today. Some of our listeners will perhaps already be aware of your story of how you broke out in 2013 when you appeared on X Factor Australia. It's already been 8 years now. How do you feel when you look back to it? Is it still fresh in the memory, or does it feel like a long time ago now?
It does feel like it was a lifetime ago. 2013, man, I was such a baby. And yeah, I've just been through so much since then. Just, working in the industry, and I got to experience so many new and wonderful and crazy things since then. So it just feels like 8 years was more like, 20 years for me. So yeah.
I can imagine it would have been an absolutely life-changing decision, life-changing moment. I understand that you came from a musical family and that you were a pianist when you were growing up, but not always a singer. Is that right?
Yeah, so I started off as a pianist. So we, as a family, came to Australia when I was 9 years old. And, when I first got here, I couldn't speak any English, obviously. And I felt really stupid. Like, I didn't understand what was going on at school and just sort of trying to figure out what's happening. And then one day I had this chance to somehow play the piano at assembly, and I could play because, everybody in Korea could play at the time. Like, everyone got lessons, it was a thing. So I played like a Mozart or something. And then the whole school was just like, oh my gosh, she's a genius. And I'm like, okay, cool. So that kind of became my identity. And I really clung onto that feeling. Like, I really loved showing off and feeling like I was actually good at something. Whereas with everything else, because of the language barrier and cultural things, I was a little bit feeling insecure about a lot of other things.
And then how did you get into singing then? What was singing to you as you were growing up?
So singing, even though my mom is a trained opera singer, she never sort of encouraged us to sing. She used to tell me and my brother, oh, your brother, Kenny, you've got a better voice. Dami, your voice is a bit too weak to sing. Because I used to lose my voice all the time. But I became really obsessed with a Korean artist called Boa.
Right, of course.
And it was around 2000-ish. That's where she became really, popular. And so I became super obsessed. And one day I just thought, oh, you know what? I could probably sing just like her, and I could record myself. And with the right equipment, I would sound just like her. It's so easy. It should be easy. So I tried to do that on my computer and listen back. And that's when I realized I don't sound like her. I sound really bad. And so I was like trying to fix it with the program, trying to, tune it or whatever. I probably didn't have the best program, but I just thought, wow, that was a really big revelation to me, that a singer like her and other singers that we hear on the radio are actually good. And I can't just do it with technology. So since then, I became super obsessed, and I started to record myself singing a lot of Boa songs and just singing like one line at a time, trying to make it sound like a song. And I think that helped me improve after years and years of doing that.
And that practice seems to have paid off because you certainly showed your singing talent on X Factor, to say the least. You've enjoyed a successful career over the years with 4 studio albums since then, all charting in the top 10 in Australia, including your number one self-titled album. X Factor, of course, wasn't the only singing competition you entered since then as well. You went on to represent Australia at the Eurovision Song Contest in 2016 and finished second. You received a lot of love around the world for that. How would you sum up that experience looking back now?
Eurovision was one of the most craziest and most intense experiences I've ever had. And just being a part of something that's so historical and big, I didn't realize until I got there how much of a huge thing it was. It was like a religion in Europe, and especially in Sweden, where it was held in my year. Like every year, these Eurovision fans would go from city to city just waiting for the next Eurovision to happen. And to be a part of that culture, like I still get love and, like mentions all around the world, the global Eurovision family, like whenever I release music or, they're still talking about what happened in 2016. And so, yeah, just being a part of that kind of community is really exciting and something that can't be replicated anywhere else.
And I understand that you haven't closed the door on trying to do another Eurovision contest again at some point.
Yeah, look, many of the artists that have competed in Eurovision come back year after year. Well, not every year, but, some of them have come back like 3 times, 4 times. So I am definitely, keeping a close eye on it to see, when I might want to come back. It was such an amazing experience. And I feel like if I did it again, I could improve on a lot of different things because I just know how it goes this time.
Okay, so on October 29th, you'll be releasing your new album, My Reality, and the single Pray is already available, I understand. Can you tell us more about the album and how you came to create it? Because I understand this is the first album that you completely wrote by yourself.
Yeah, I wrote and co-wrote every single track on this record. And this album, even though it's my 5th album officially, I feel like it's the first album that I am, it's the album that I've been dreaming about since I started singing those Boer songs. When I was with the previous label, which I got signed to straight off X Factor, I was too young, and also the environment didn't really allow me to really pursue everything that I wanted to do, and I didn't have as much creative freedom. Whereas now I'm at a point in my career where I know what I want to do and the type of music I want to make, the people I want to work with. And I also have the circumstances and the resources to be able to do that. So finally, it's like I'm telling my story with this album, and that's all I want it to be, something really authentic and real for me as an artist and as a person.
And I would say that I feel that in the first song that you're releasing as well, Pray. It's a very powerful and has a real heartfelt message. Can you tell us about the story behind this song too?
Yeah, so I wrote Pray with a writer called Audius, and we got in to the recording studio to write, and I actually thought we were going to write something fun and up-tempo. But that day, both of us were feeling a lot of different things. Like, we wrote it in the middle of this year, and the world's still crazy now, but it was even more crazy back then. And we could feel so much anxiety and uncertainty around people. Like everybody was just feeling confused and worried. And we were feeling that particular day. So we started to just talk about that for ages and ages. We didn't do any work for a long time.
Mm.
And then we're like, hey, let's write something that can bring some hope and, something for people to hold on to. And I said, yeah, that's a good idea. We both agreed on that. And for me, I've always talked about my faith since the beginning of my career. I'm a Christian. So for me, being able to pray, that's what gives me a sense of hope and comfort. And, it might be different for everybody. So that's okay. But I just wanted to sing about something that gives me light at the end of the tunnel. And also, I have to say, even though I say, I'm Christian, I find it really difficult to actually stop and pray. Like, I'm always distracted by everything, like what I'm going to do next and my phone. And it's impossible to just stop and, just look within and pray. That's really, really, I think, difficult in this day and age with so many fun things to do and busy lifestyles. So it's kind of a reminder for myself as well.
It seems like the pandemic has had quite an impact on you. How much would you say that's affected you as a person and as a performer?
Well, the biggest thing for me as an artist is I can only do half of my work, which was writing and recording, the other half being performing and seeing other people and sharing my music live. And so I could only focus on the album and writing. So that was sort of good in a way because I could really focus on it. Sometimes I get distracted with all the live work and I didn't have any of that. I could just really focus. Like I sat here in this studio just thinking about what I'm going to write and how I want my album to go. That was a lot of time to just contemplate who I am and what I want to say. As a person, I suppose I realized nothing is really in our control. And sometimes you just have to go with the flow. And
Sure.
I think I'm a bit of a control freak. I love planning things and making sure I know what's happening, but it's like nobody knows what's happening. So it's a good, tough lesson to go, okay, let's just try and enjoy whatever happens.
Sure. With all that in mind, I am fascinated to hear your album as well now. Before we go, I'd like to just briefly mention a couple of things because not only have you been busy working on this album, it seems like you've been having fun appearing on some other TV shows as well lately. You've joined the second season of Celebrity MasterChef Australia. We've been showcasing some Korean dishes. You've also made a guest appearance on the iconic Australian television show, The Wiggles. I understand it was to mark the 60th anniversary of bilateral relations between South Korea and Australia. And it was almost like you were playing an ambassador for connecting Australia and Korea. How's it been like doing these sorts of appearances on TV shows such as MasterChef and The Wiggles?
I feel like I got these really interesting opportunities this year, probably because of the pandemic. Everyone's looking for interesting ideas and projects. So I loved being able to share some of my favorite Korean recipes on MasterChef. Like MasterChef has been going on for years and years, but I don't think I've ever really seen anybody do Korean food properly. I think they've done sort of Korean fusion, but no one's done a 돌솥 bibimbap. Like
Sure, authentically
no
Korean.
one's done 된장 soup, and I did 잔치국수, like banquet noodles, and all those really kind of basic but very authentic homely Korean meals that I got to share. And it was, new to a lot of the viewers. And I found it so exciting to see everyone's like, I want to try that. And, I'm going to go to the Korean restaurant and try that. And I feel so happy about that. And same with the Wiggles. Everybody's getting more interested in Korean culture, probably because of all the K-pop and K-dramas, but I love being able to share that as well.
Of course. Very briefly, any plans to come to Korea at any time soon, especially with the pandemic slightly easing up now?
Yeah, I'm really, really hoping to come back to Korea very soon. First of all, I miss my family. I haven't seen my dad since 2019.
Wow.
But Australia is really, really strict. We can't actually get out of the country, even if we wanted to at the moment.
Hmm.
But yeah, like that's the thing. We can't really plan anything like that at the moment. I know other countries, you a lot of countries that people are flying in and out, but Australia it's extremely strict. So there's no way for me to go out, get out, and or even come back. So we'll just have to see.
Sure, we'll have to wrap it up there, but we look forward to listening to your new album, and I'm sure it's going to be great. We've been speaking to Dami Im, whose new album, My Reality, will be released on October 29th. Thank you once again for your time today.
Thank you so much.